I went to the University of Alberta and I studied drama, but in particular my focus was in improvisation. And I still am attracted to those practices. It was a time when the collective was really one of the most used strategies for creating performance. And those sort of democratized strategies and letting go of the authority of a director and everybody collectively making something, well, those were very, very exciting to me, and they remain exciting to me, those kinds of ideas. And when I came back to Newfoundland, Kathy Ferry, who founded Neighbourhood Dance Works, was teaching at the LSPU Hall, and then I started to take those classes. And they were in everything from lab and technique to choreography to little bits of Feldenkrais. And I think that the enthusiasm that I felt for that was greater than any of my other performative enthusiasms. And so she folded a lot of people from a lot of different disciplines into the company Neighbourhood Dance Works. Before it was a presenter, it was a company of people creating work. Early in the development of Neighbourhood Dance Works, once Kathy had left, we had these little islands of thought that Diane Moore in Halifax did a lot to connect. And that was a really important connection. I think those things have sort of kind of become a little strained, and maybe we've lost some of those connections. And I think they're really important for us to try and rebuild them, because that's connecting these little bits of island thinking or small place thinking is very neglected. The interdisciplinariness of Newfoundland, I really think it came out of something really, or St. John's in particular, came out of something really specific. And that was that in the early 70s, Edith Goodridge was running a extension arts. And she provided space for free for companies like Codco to rehearse. And then when she moved on, that continued. That resource was there. You would meet other artists who were also rehearsing. So sometimes they would be, like Tommy Sexton was alive at that point, and he would be saying, he would be sort of walked out of his rehearsal. Maybe he just got bored or he wanted to go for a walk or something. And then he'd walk into your rehearsal. So he'd say, "What are you doing in here?" And so we would know very intimately what each other was doing, and we would see if any of those ideas would cross-pollinate because we were beside each other. And it was also a really interesting time, because at first Neighbourhood Dance Works could not find money to bring in a Canadian choreographer, but we could get money to bring in an international choreographer. And so that's how I came to be in a piece that was choreographed by Sarah Sheldon Mann, before I really knew who she was and how significant her work was. And then later on, towards the end of the 70s, 80s, I think that's around when Canada Council created this program, Independence. And then you were able to bring in Canadian choreographers. And then we started to, through Independence and through, I guess, what was happening in the dance world itself, choreographers started to dancers started to choreograph on their own bodies. So that space between the choreographing intention and the body just collapsed into one. And I love that. I love that the authorship came directly from the body. And also, prior to that, often the companies were led by choreographers who were men. And so in this way, we started to see the voices of women on our stage creating on their own bodies for themselves. And I thought this was a really, really exciting time because the variety of ideas and the directness and the rejection of an external authority and the bringing of an authority from the practitioner's own body, that was really exciting. I think that was the most exciting era for me besides now. The company kind of was going to disband, and we actually had a little bit of sustaining money from the Canada Council, and I didn't want that to happen. So nobody else wanted to take on the leadership role, so myself and Ann Anderson decided that we would do it. At the time, there's a lot of festival funding. There isn't now, and so we just we sort of decided together that it might be best for her if we developed a festival. I think it's really important to have that connection with other work. I think that that connection should be deepened. Dance dramaturgy is often involved in those larger discussions, in my experience, than my theatre dramaturgy, which is really often looking strictly at the story and is working with the playwright. But in dance dramaturgy, I'm usually working with the person, the instrument of the idea. Just as we were talking earlier, the person who is going to embody that idea is creating the idea, so they're happening both at the same time. So is there anything richer in the performative arts? I just really can't think of anything richer or more heady than that. I did this piece, again, I guess it references my idea that everybody owns the ideas and that there are unrecognized geniuses, and in the piece I give the audience, I let these little ticker tape things fall down that say I am a genius, and I tell them to put it in their pocket, and they're feeling a little down, they can get it out, and they go, oh, Lois and James think I'm a genius, and that proves it.
I own this microphone.
If you can't afford the spectacular thing where, you know, fireworks go off on the stage or whatever, humor can take that place and there can be a little explosion of laughter. We're coming back into a time when we will make connections all over the place. And those are really important because it's a time when we need to honor small gestures. We're sort of in a time of global crisis, and we're all looking for those small gestures that we can use to honor Mother Earth. And I think that's, that dance has so many answers to that question. But I also started to work with the power of things and to just see what a plastic bag would do, what a piece of foil wrap would do, to try to not to dominate things as much, which is rather strange because I haven't shut up yet. So I'm definitely dominating the conversation here. But I'm a work in progress. So maybe I'll end with that. I'm a work in progress, that's for sure.